Uh, so, as you all know, or as you all have heard, Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, as I said, as you all may know, President Joe Biden is helping fund Israel's war in Gaza. And despite what you may think, despite what you may know, despite what you may have heard, uh, Michigan Congresswoman, who is the only Palestinian American in Congress, she have people, her family live in Palestine right now. And so she has obviously urged the president, Joe Biden, to ceasefire, cause a ceasefire over there, because it is her people who are losing their lives. And she have every reason to protest the war in Gaza, because her family and her people, she is the only Palestinian American congresswoman in Congress, period, the only one. And so she calls for a ceasefire. She asks Biden to create a ceasefire. Too many lives are being lost. Too many children's lives are being lost. The entire cities are being ravaged. People are being left homeless. Poverty is stricken. The economy is flattened. And as people have already said, this is modern day, the G word, the ending being sides. So G, sides, you know what I'm talking about. And so now Joe Biden, he only won Michigan vote by 150,000 votes in Michigan last time. So now Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib has put together a coalition of people and organizations. It's on Instagram called Listen to Michigan. She's urging Michigan voters. Well, let me first say this. There's over 300,000 Arab Americans who live in Wayne County, and Rashida Tlaib lives there as well. And these Arab Americans who wholeheartedly support Rashida Tlaib, over 300,000. That's just the Arab population. We have the largest Arab population in a county in the United States. That's Wayne County. The largest Arab American population in a county in the United States. That's Wayne County. That's where Rashida Tlaib is at. And so it brings me great pleasure to see someone fight the system or the individual who represents the system the way she's fighting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. My position is that you have to fight for your rights, and she's standing up for her rights. She's standing up for the rights for her people. Her people have been dying. The children have been slaughtered. Tens of thousands of children slaughtered. If this is not a modern day G, I don't know what this is. So again, Joe Biden won Michigan by 150,000 votes. 150,000 votes. That's 150,000 votes. There are over 300,000 Arab Americans in Wayne County alone. That's in Wayne County. But that's not even counting the other supporters of Rashida Tlaib who are not Arab Americans. And so Rashida Tlaib has endorsed a no vote. She has endorsed a no vote for Biden. She wants people to mark the box uncommitted. Uncommitted. This way, Biden is placed on notice that Michigan don't support your stance and your funding the war in Gaza and the resulting G word that ends in sides. Michigan voters do not support Biden's position. And at one point last year, Congress censored Rashida Tlaib because she spoke out against the atrocities that's going on with her people. When she cried out for help, stop, ceasefire, what's going on in Gaza to preserve the lives of her family, friends, and the culture and community that she grew up in. She is Palestinian, a Palestinian American. She is the only Palestinian American Congresswoman in Congress, period, throughout the United States. The only one. But they don't want her to stand up for her rights. They don't want her to stand up for her people. They censored her. They censored that woman because she's standing up for her people. What type of garbage is that? I don't care who you are. If you can't respect what she's doing, something is wrong with you. If you cannot respect that Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib out of Michigan, is standing up and fighting for the rights of her people, for the life of her people, for the life of her people. She's not just standing up for rights, it's greater than just the right. She's fighting for the existence of her people. Who would not fight for the existence of their people when they're literally watching their people perish right before their eyes? Right before their eyes, they're seeing the children. That's why the image behind me, I have the children. Because, and this is just the, listen, I only picked out a couple photographs. There are thousands, tens of thousands of photographs of children being carried away in white sheets. I don't have to tell you why they're being carried away in white sheets, why they're being covered up in white sheets, why they're laid out, along long stretches of land covered in white sheets. So here we have a Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, who's standing up for her people and fighting for her people. This is not something that she's just trying to do to make the news. This is not some presidential go to a town and kiss the babies and all that type of stuff. People are literally losing their lives. They are literally losing their lives by the thousands. Not by a couple at a time, by the thousands. Bombs are being dropped. Bombs with the fingerprints of Joe Biden on them are being dropped in Gaza. Bombs with Joe Biden's fingerprints are being dropped on Palestinian towns, causing the greatest atrocities in this day and age that we have seen. The greatest atrocities in this day and age that we have seen. And we have seen great atrocities committed against nations of people just over the last 30 years. But I don't think that none is more greater than what we are seeing today. I said Joe Biden's fingerprints are on the bombs and the bullets that is terrorizing the Palestinian people right now. Joe Biden's fingerprints, because he is funding this war. He is not calling for a ceasefire of this war. If you're not calling for a ceasefire of this war, then I think that tells what side you're on. Somebody say I'm wrong. Show me where Joe Biden has called for a ceasefire of this war. Right. Joe Biden has called for a ceasefire. Right. So all the other news pundits and politicians are wrong. Joe Biden did call for the ceasefire. Okay. Right. We believe that as much as we believe that Biden is fit to be the next president. Come on. Joe Biden, as the president of the United States, the most powerful nation on the planet Earth, has the power to tell Israel, we're not going to fund you, we're not going to support you, and we telling you at this very moment that you must commit to a ceasefire. And they will follow his word. Why? Because American dollars are going to that war. 62 cents of every American dollar is funding war. Look that number up. I said 62% of every American dollar is being used to fund the war. Look the numbers up. Again, I'm going to say 62% of every American dollar is being used to fund a war. I didn't say that war, I said a war. 62% of every American dollar is being used to fund a war. So, what does that say about us as a people? Us as the taxpayers? Us as the people who put these people in office to represent us? What does that say about us? And yet, we will stand behind these microphones. We'll sit at dinner tables and in restaurants and go to rallies and events, and we'll talk about, no, I don't agree with none of this. Yeah, but if you don't agree with it and he's not abiding by what you agree with, then he's wrong. And we must get them out of office. That's simple. That's simple. It says 60% of everyone's dollar is going to taxes. Facts. $1 gets taxed 4 times by employer. I agree with that. Number 2, both of them can be right. Think about it. Both of them can be right. We pay taxes. Why do we pay taxes? Because they build a prisons with our money, and that is not going to the veterans. That's why the VA is up in arms right now, because they're not even getting the money that they're supposed to get. It's all scams. The people behind the scenes, the big wigs are taking all the money, and they're using the money to fund wars. Why? Because if they can keep our attention on war, they can steal all of our goods. That's what they're doing. They've been doing this. This is nothing new. So, again, I say 62% of every American dollar is going to fund wars. That's 62%. Somebody just said, we're supporting Ukrainian people. Now, what was Ukraine involved in with Russia? What? War, right? And now we're supporting them as well, right? So 62% of every American dollar is going to fund the war. Whether it's the beginning of the war, the middle of the war, after the war. That's where our tax dollars is going. It's not going to our homeless people who laying up on the streets right now. It's not going to our drug-addicted brothers and sisters who need help and not imprisonment. It's not going to these nonviolent criminals who are being placed in prison cells and jails and given high bonds when they can't even pay $1, but they're giving high bonds. It's not going to none of these type of programs. It's going to fund war. And they brag about the fruits of their labor after the war. And this is why Rashida Tlaib, I support her wholeheartedly in her fight, because somebody got to stand up and say, look, we ain't buying that no more. No. You're not gonna have me on the floor of the congressional caucus or whatever, have me on the floor talking about my people, but I can't stand up for my people. Huh? So she can't stand up for her people. Our tax dollars, our tax money is going to billionaires because of Trump's tax breaks. I agree with that too. All of this can be true. All of this can be true. The point that I'm making is they're taking our money, putting it in their pocket, and funding their wars. Keep in mind what I just said. It's all theirs. This is not our war. It's not our pockets that the money going in. It's not our schools that the money going to. It's not our streets that's being rebuilt by this money. It's not our churches that's being renovated. It's not our community centers that's being renovated or built. None of that. It's going to these people's pockets, and these people who with deep pockets are helping to fund wars. So again, I want us to just think about this. 62% of every American dollar is helping to fund wars. Joe Biden's fingerprints are on every bullet and every bomb that has touched down in Gaza. His fingerprints is on every bomb and every bullet that has taken a life in Gaza. I don't think that he's fit to make a sound decision when it comes to, first of all, let me digress for 1 second. Do anybody remember George Bush when that happened at the World Trade Center? He was standing outside the World Trade Center. And he said, we're going to get them. We'll go to the end of the earth to find who did this. And we're going to get them. He said, I'm telling the world this. He had tears in his eyes, right? Had tears in his eyes, right? No matter if you liked him or disliked him, whatever, he had tears in his eyes because he was that emotional about what had happened, right? He showed his humanity when he spoke about what happened and how it really hurt him to his core because he represents the people. He is the father of the house. He knew that. Now you take Barack Obama. When certain things happened under his watch, and he sat there wiping away tears, talking about it. Because he knew that he was the father of the house. He represented the people. And no matter if you liked or disliked them, we're not talking about your personal feeling. We're talking about what emotion he showed in that moment that he had to make a decision on what course of action to take to right the wrong that had been committed against Americans on American soil or on foreign soil. But the tears in his eyes told a story, right? Have anybody seen a tear in Joe Biden's eye for what's going on in Palestine? Please, somebody just tell me if you've seen a tear. If you've seen a tear well up in his eye, not even fall, but just well up in his eye. Because I haven't. I've been trying to look over video. I've been trying to look over video. All right, bye, cakes. See you later. I've been trying to find a video of Joe Biden showing any concern for the people in Palestine. Any concern, any emotion. And somebody said he is not capable of emotion. And I agree 110%. This is the only president in my lifetime who I've paid attention to. I'm not saying it haven't been others. I'm talking about who I paid attention to, who has shown no emotion when it came to the demise of a people. The only president. He is the only president that I've seen in my 51 years who has not shown an emotion. And I want y'all to keep in mind that a lot of people from the U.S. have dual citizenship over there. So it's people from the U.S. who have passed away too under his watch over there. But yet, he's continuing to fund that war. He's continuing to fund that war and put his fingerprints on those bombs and bullets that's landing on those children and the people of Palestine. And for that reason, somebody said it's the same under other presidents. Brother, I'm not arguing that. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I am not. And for every president that does that, I got the same middle finger for them as well. I don't care who it is. I got a middle finger. I got two middle fingers for them. And I'm pretty sure I got a whole lot of support that got some middle fingers for them as well. So don't think that I'm jumping on Biden. I don't like none of them that engages in this, shows no emotion for the humanity and the lives that's being lost under their watch. They're going to play the blame game. Well, if the Republicans had did this, this wouldn't have happened. Well, if the Democrats had did this, this wouldn't have happened. Why do we got to argue over saving somebody's life? Why do we have to argue over saving somebody's life? Do y'all remember when a lot of Donald Trump's minions was going down? They was getting indicted and going to jail and prison. He ain't care if nobody liked it or not. He told his people, he said, look, I got you. When I become president, I got you. Simple. Right or wrong, I got you. Don't even worry about it. He stood up for what he believed, whether it was right or wrong, whether we agreed or not, he stood up for it. He said, I'm going to commute sentences and all types of stuff. Come on, man. He said Trump didn't say a darn thing. You must didn't hear Trump, because he clearly said that out of his own mouth. I watched his lips move when he said it. But in any event, I'm not going to be sidetracked by someone's misinformation or disinformation. What I'm saying today is that Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in the U.S. Congress, period. She's from Palestine. Her people still live in Palestine. She's domestically, emotionally, spiritually, and physically connected to Palestine. She has an emotion that we don't understand. If you're not from there, you don't understand. We can only say that I sympathize with you, but I can't really understand it the way that she understands it, because she's from there. But I could sympathize with her because I understand how it feels to be the subject, be the victims of such an atrocity in human history. I understand. And the day that many of us understand really what's going on, we'll stand up and we will fight against the tyrants and dictators who take the lives of children, destroys whole villages where they know is filled with children, innocent little children playing. But the art of war teaches that if you want to destroy the lifespan of whomever your enemy is, take it from the seed on up, or go from the top down to the seed. The seed is the children. And Joe Biden's fingerprints are on the graves of so many children in Palestine. That cannot be debated. Every president goes through their situations. This is President Biden's situation right here. His fingerprints are on the bullets and bombs that have destroyed generations of people in Palestine. And, you know, a lot of pro-Biden comments are coming through saying that Joe Biden is not the president of Israel. Joe Biden didn't do this. Joe Biden is the one who calls for the ceasefire. Joe Biden supported the ceasefire. And baloney. Right now, lives are being lost because we have a president. Not only because, but one of the reasons is because we have a president who's helping to fund that war. We have a president in Joe Biden who's helping to fund the war in Gaza that has taken tens of thousands of lives. That's taken thousands and thousands of the lives of children, innocent little children, taking their parents away, taking their grandparents away, their siblings away. Somebody said, we want world peace. We can't even establish we can't even establish a city of peace. Why can't we start in one section and spread out and talk about peace? It shouldn't be hard to do, but for whatever reason, it is. And I respect Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib for standing up. I respect her for standing up against tyranny. Because not many people will stand up even for their own family members. Not many people will even stand up. But we have to support when someone stands up against the forces that she's standing up against. We have to support her efforts to bring about a ceasefire against humanity. This is a ceasefire against humanity. This is not about Rashida Tlaib. She never made it about her. She stated that she cannot sit back and watch this human atrocity take place on her watch and she not step up to the plate and try to get something, a ceasefire, something to stop. That's all she's saying. We need a ceasefire in place, not an overnight ceasefire, not a 7-day ceasefire. No, we don't want to deal. Let me ask you this. If you know somebody is about to shoot you, do you want them to only shoot you one time? Say, don't shoot me all 10 times, just hit me one time. No, we don't want no shots. So when we call for ceasefire, we want the shooting to stop entirely. We don't want it to come back the next day or the next week. Give us time to eat, take a shower, and shave. And now we back at it. We don't want that garbage. We want our children to be able to live and thrive, believe and achieve. We want our children to know that peace is possible, that we can get along with anybody. We have to set aside our differences. Many of the differences that we have, we don't even know the origin of them. We don't even know the origin of some of our differences, but yet we fight and stand on them. You on your side, I'm on my side. Somebody said, so Biden alone has the power to end another country's war. Put it this way, he got the power to start another country's war. Why don't he have the power to end another country's war? Especially when he's one of the funders of the war. Hey man, some people say the darndest things, right? It's like I remember that I remember when Bill Cosby had this show out to say children say the darndest things, right? Some people say the darndest things and they have no idea. You know, we already know, for example, that China can say a certain thing and the entire world reacts. But yet we're supposed to be the superpower of the world. We say a certain thing and the whole world react. Oftentimes the whole world abides by what we say, because we are the superpower of this entire world. Are we not? It's either we are or we are not, Because if we claim to be the superpower of this entire world, then we must believe that our representative, who is our president, has the voice and the power and the impact to change the course of what's going on in Gaza right now. We have to believe that because we are a superpower. What we say, people listen to. The advice we give, people tend to heed. The directions that we give, people begin to take. Because they understand their position in this world, and they understand our position as a superpower in this world. So when we send all of this money over to fund this war, those people who are the receivers of this money to fund the war, receivers of the guns and the bombs that we're giving them, the tanks and everything, armed services, building, help them build their armed services up. These people understand who has the power. Come on. They know not to bite the hand that feeds you. And the hand that's feeding them right now is Joe Biden. I want to invite some people in, but I don't have time to be dealing with no nonsense. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time to be dealing with no nonsense. And too often times people just want to, stir up some stuff. I don't want to stir up nothing. I'm kicking facts. I'm talking about facts. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not asking you to vote for nobody. On this back picture, it says, tell Biden no more genocide. Vote uncommitted now until February 27th. That's in Michigan. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is urging Michigan voters to vote uncommitted because Michigan voters do not agree with Joe Biden's stance and support and funding of the war in Gaza that has resulted in the mass atrocity of so many lives lost of Palestinian people. Now, I just want to reiterate something for those who just joined, and I ask that you all please share out my live feed. You know, I'm talking about some things that I think interest many of us, if not all of us. So let me just go back and say that Joe Biden won Michigan by 150,000 votes last time. By 150,000 votes last time. Let me say that. I'm slowing up so people can write this stuff down if necessary, so you can look it up. Joe Biden won Michigan by roughly 150,000 votes, right? That's 150,000 votes. He beat Donald Trump by 150,000 votes. That's 150,000 people that voted, that helped Biden win Michigan. 150,000 votes. Now, fast forward to today when Biden is up again in Michigan. He's trying to fight for Michigan. But guess what? There are over 300,000 Arab Americans that live in Michigan who are being urged to vote uncommitted. That's over 300 and some thousand. That's just the Arab Americans. That's not the other races of people who support voting uncommitted. So now, what does that mean for Joe Biden? That means that if you won by 150,000 last time, when people kind of really didn't like you, but they like you more than Donald Trump, so they voted for you, and now you're in a position where people hate you, don't like you, don't want to see you president anymore, think that you're already too old, senile, mumbling, tripping, and everything else. And all they're asking you to do is stand up. Stand up for the Palestinian people, or just for the ceasefire in general. You don't even have to take a side. Say, I'm not with this, and that's that. Y'all gonna stop this. Rashida Tlaib is urging. The voters of Michigan are urging. The over 300,000 Arab Americans in Michigan. Wayne County has the largest Arab American population in any county throughout the United States. Wayne County, Michigan, has the largest Arab population throughout the United States of any county. Let me say that again. Wayne County, Michigan, has the largest Arab population of any county throughout the entire United States. They have over 300,000. Way over 300,000. Joe Biden won Michigan by 150,000 votes. So now you have over 300,000 Arab Americans who are mad at Biden right now because he's funding a war that is causing the mass atrocity of Palestinian people. So that's at least 300,000 votes that you lose. Now we're going to add the other races of people who also support Rashida Tlaib's quest to urge voters to vote uncommitted on February 27th. Detroit has roughly 600,000 people, something like that. Then you have all of these other metropolitan Detroit area cities: Dearborn Heights, Inkster, Romulus, Wayne, Ecorse, Harper Woods, Highland Park. It's some that's way out. But my point is that Joe Biden does not stand a chance in hell. He does not stand a chance in hell to win Michigan at the route that he's going right now, at the rate that he's going right now. He does not stand a chance in hell to win Michigan. And just another fun fact, and again, I'm not taking sides between him and Trump. Trump was just in Michigan. Biden wasn't. So even when Trump say the most outlandish stuff and do the most outlandish stuff, under indictments over here, under charges over there, being sued over here, losing lawsuits over there, he still had the courage to come to Michigan and see what votes he could pick up. He still had the courage enough to do that. I don't like Trump either, just so you know. So I would never vote for Trump, just so you know. Somebody say I'm a Trump supporter. No, I'm not. I would never vote for him, never have, never even thought about it. But I am talking about the man. I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about the man. Having enough courage to step outside of all the nonsense surrounding him and say, I'm still going there and talk to the people. It takes courage to do that. That was a courageous move. That was a checkmate move, to be truthful. But my point, even in saying that, is to say that Joe Biden, having found the courage to come talk to the largest Arab population of any county throughout the United States, he has not found the courage to do that. Why? Why hasn't he found the courage to come and explain himself? Or maybe he feel that he don't have to explain himself. Maybe he feel like you're not worthy enough for me to have to explain myself to y'all. Joe Biden was at the unions. See what I'm saying? The unions, it's a difference. We're talking about Arab Americans, the Arab American community that he's offended, who he has his fingerprints on slaughtering. He has not had enough courage to come out to those communities. Joe Biden has not come and visited the people, Middle Eastern people, let me just put it that way, so people on here could better understand. He has not come out to Middle Eastern communities to share his views, his why nots, or why he did certain things. He has not come out to talk to these people. And that's why they're mad. And they have every reason to be mad. That's why Rashida Tlaib is leading that charge. And I support her 110% in the charge that she leads, because I understand what it feels like to have your family just taken away, dismantled, communities destroyed. I know what it feels like. I support Rashida Tlaib because she's standing up for what she believes. She's standing up for humanity. She knows that this is not about her. She knows that this is about humanity. And she knows that if she is the only Palestinian American in Congress throughout the entire United States, and she's from Palestine and have family still in Palestine that she loves so dearly, that she still communicate with, that she still honor and respect, that she still remember. Her roots are over there. Her upbringing is over here. Why wouldn't she stand up to fight for the very people that helped nurture her roots so that she could spring up and be the beacon of hope that she is to so many people? That's why I stand by her. I stand by champions. I know sometimes that it looks like you can't win a fight. I know how it looks. Sometimes it looks like you can't win a fight. I know how that looks. I know how that feels. The feeling of degradation, the feeling of being humiliated, despondent, depressed. But even then, we fight. We fight because we understand that the fight ain't about us. We understand that the fight is about humanity. Somebody said that Biden is not interested in engaging. I didn't read the whole thing, but I knew you were saying that he was not interested in engaging in any type of conversation with the Middle Eastern Americans that he's offending. So that kind of puts me in the mindset of when you're disconnected from the people, how could you represent the people? How can you represent the people if you are disconnected from the people? You don't show your face. Take, for example, people can say what they want to say about Trump, but he sparked hope and fear and racist rhetoric and everything else in some people. People was able to look at him, even after saying some of the terrible things that he said about certain people, certain races of people, he still came to them, stood before them, allowed them to grill him, and still sometimes stood on what he said, even though he knew he was wrong, and lost a lot of support in that respect. But he still said, I'm willing to lose that support to stand on what I truly believe. And I don't think that Joe Biden is standing on anything. I don't think it. I don't think that he's standing on anything because this one simple fact. He's not even stable enough to stand. And I mean that literally, figuratively, mentally, and emotionally. He's not even stable enough to stand. So now the question is, how do we deal with someone like this who refuses to stand on anything because he understands that he's getting too old to stand? Walk as slow as a sloth. Talk as slow as a sloth. Spews some incomprehensible things out of his mouth, things that just don't make sense, things that expresses his disconnection with the people. I don't like Hannity and whoever them people is either. Don't like them. If he falls, there's a black woman behind him. That's not even my point. That's not even my point. I'm talking about his position, the fingerprints that he's leaving on the bombs and bullets that's taking the lives of Palestinian children and their whole towns, their whole generations, their communities. That's what I'm talking about. So yes, I voted for Biden last time. Yep, I voted for Biden. I voted for Biden. That's just for the record for those who think I'm a Trumpster. No, I voted for Biden last time. And I only voted for the lesser of two evils. And Rashida Tlaib right now is urging voters, don't vote for the lesser of two evils. Vote uncommitted. Just vote uncommitted. And I support voting uncommitted before I continue to vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. Shouldn't we be tired of voting for the lesser of two evils? It's like asking someone, do you want the lethal injection or the gun range? I don't want neither one of them. I want to go naturally when my time comes. I want somebody that represents me. I want somebody to represent me who listens to me, who I can sit down and talk to, who I can feel hopeful about. I want someone who represents me who knows how to make the hard decisions, who's not going to turn a blind eye to the tears in the eyes of a nation of people. Because it's one thing to turn a blind eye to the tears of an individual person or group of people. But when you're talking about a nation of people that's crying and you turning a blind eye to it, you're turning off all your emotions from it, that tells a whole different story. Trump is not the answer. Nikki Haley definitely isn't the answer. I agree. Ukraine crying. Demetrius for Congress. Hey, I got some aspirations. I got some aspirations, but I'm going to say this here. I don't want to drink out of a dirty cup. Sometimes we got to clean that cup out ourselves and not depend on other people to clean that cup out before we pour our water in there and nourish our body. But what's being handed to so many people that I know that's involved in politics is that dirty cup. And they're told that the cup, they assume that the cup is clean. So now they drinking dirty water. So when that dirt get in their system and they think it start to change, we know why. Because they was given a cup that was already filled with nonsense, poison. And when they drank that poison, their thoughts come through their lips poisonous. So me, I look at it from this perspective. As much as I love to help people, I love to see people fight for the humanity of people. I stand by people like that. It doesn't matter the race, the color, the creed. When I see someone standing up like that, I kind of gravitate toward that energy because I understand the courage that it takes to stand up against a power that so many people are standing up against. And I also love to watch people stand up or come into office and don't just accept that dirty cup. When they get the cup, they wash it out. Say, trick no good. Trick no good. I'm washing this cup out myself. So who do you want that can represent us as a nation of Moors? I hear, but you're not giving an answer. Brother, that's left up to the people. That's left up to the people who you want to represent you. We know how this thing go. That's the name of a warrior. We know how this thing go. Somebody said we need to take back our country. What does that mean? Take back our country. Let me take a swig of water on this one because that's deep. Take back our country. I don't think that somebody said leave the country. I think that we take back our country by taking back our dignity, by taking it back our integrity, by taking back our identity, by taking back who we are as a people, as a nation of people, as a culture. I think that that's what Rashida Tlaib is doing. That's what she's doing. She's saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to change who I am. I'm not going to allow you to destroy who I am, where I came from, my roots. See, we know all too well, people of African descent know all too well how it feels to be disconnected from your religion. And I'm talking about the real religion, not this man-made stuff. We know how it feels to be disconnected from your religion, your culture, your creed. We know what it means, what it was meant, and what it means to be 3/5 of a human. If you're 3/5, that means two things is missing: your nationality and divine creed. Your divine creed is your natural born religion, not the man-made stuff. I'm talking about that spiritual entity that connects you to that other spiritual entity. And then your nationality. That's what was removed. So now we were classified as 3/5 of a human being because our nationality was taken away, stripped away. We call ourselves all these other names now, from Negro, colored, black, the other N word, African American, Afro American. We got all type of names for us. So now I'm just doing this in the spirit of so-called Black History Month, when I think of Black History Month, I think of the origin, the black hole that everything came through. That's how I think of Black History Month. I don't think of black as in a skin tone, because black, according to science, means death. And then if you consider yourself black, then you must consider the person that looks opposite you white. And black, according to science, means death, and white means purity. And purity means God. And God means the ruler of the land. So I don't look at nobody as being black, and I don't look at nobody as being white. You are an ethnic individual. You are either Asian American, Asian, you might be Chinese, you might, whatever it is, that's what you are. You're not black or you're not white. So let's get that clear. So if I ever use the word black, just understand that I'm using it in context, because I'm speaking to people that may not have read the books that I've read. And there's no disrespect to anyone. And if I don't call you white, I call you Caucasian, that's simply an acknowledgement that you are not of African descent. So you are Caucasian or European. And that's to no disrespect to anyone, no offense. I love all people. I think that, you know, it's like every animal, every insect has a role in life, right? So why don't every human being have a role in life? If the ants can build molehills and mountains and stuff, they can come together and get these little twigs. Little tiny micro dot little insects can build up a mountain. Why can't we come together and build up something? Why can't we do that? And so that takes me right back to Rashida Tlaib. I think she's reminding us. I think that she's reminding us of what it means to fight. A woman reminding us of what it means to fight. That's what I get from Rashida Tlaib. If you're married, I feel sorry for your wife. All right, thank you, brother. I bet she will vote for Biden in November. Listen, again, I'm not telling no one who to vote for or who not to vote for. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about Rashida Tlaib and what she's advocating for. So please don't misinterpret anything I'm saying. Now, what I was about to say is that when I think of Rashida Tlaib and the fight that she's waging right now against the powers that she's waging the fight against, it takes me back to these civil rights leaders, right? It takes me back to civil rights leaders, how they were up against tall mountains. And some people got scared because the mountain seemed so high. And they were so far away from achieving victory because they seen the mountain was so high. But then somebody found the courage and found the wherewithal and the intelligent words to say that no matter how far you are away from that mountain, it's still the same height. So the further you are away, the smaller it seems. The closer you are to it, the higher it is, but it's still the same mountain. If you're going to climb it, climb it. We're talking about becoming victorious. Amir Vero wants to join my live. I don't know who Amir Vero is. Let me see who Amir Vero is. I got to make sure that people ain't on no garbage nowadays, man. Everybody just want to argue and stuff. I don't want to argue with nobody, you know, because I feel like I honor everybody's opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. That's the difference. I'm respecting everybody's opinion, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever Tea Party, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is when you are voting on issues that affect me and the community that I came from. That's what I think about. So So that's just for the record for those who think anything other than what I'm saying. You know, I represent people every single day. I am who I am on here as the same person that I am off the microphone. So, and you can look at any of my social media pages and you see I'm the same person. I'm not trying to blow smoke. I talk about Biden and the garbage that he be on, like I talk about Trump and the garbage he be on, and Nikki Haley and the garbage that she be on, and back when it was Hillary Clinton and the garbage she be on. And don't get me wrong, I'm one who was indoctrinated to believe that I had to pick one or the other. I had to pick one or the other because somebody is going to be president. So I was indoctrinated to believe that I had to pick Republican or Democrat. There was no way around it. I never understood, never knew, and never was taught that I don't have to pick the lesser of two evils at no time. I mean, if I'm going to my day of judgment and they say, do you want to meet your demise by the pistol, or do you want to meet your demise by the injection? My answer is going to be neither one. I want to meet my demise by natural causes because I done aged out of human existence. And so my body gave out, but my spirit live on. So I don't want to be placed in a position how I was taught and indoctrinated to believe that I have to pick this or pick that. No, that's part of our problem right now is we have been told and taught and forced to believe that it's either this or that. No other way around it. And what I'm telling you today is that it's not this or that. Stand in your own agency. Be your own human being. And make your own decision. Don't allow other people's politics, other people's politics to dictate how you feel that you want to represent your life. That's what I'm telling you. That's why I respect Rashida Tlaib, even in the face of so much opposition in amongst her own party and in by the Republicans and news media. Somebody once told her, not to her face, but they was on a news show and they said she have a lot of nerve to be slapping the president in his face by urging voters to vote uncommitted. Now, did that political pundit forget the part that Rashida Tlaib is the only Palestinian American Congresswoman in the United States, and that she grew up and that she was born over there, have family over there, very connected over there, and therefore she have an emotional and physical and a humanitarian interest in preserving the life of her people. But yet, these politicians would say that she got a lot of nerve to just slap the president by urging voters to vote uncommitted. Okay, so let me ask you this then. Let me ask y'all this. So would it be any different if I urged the voters to vote uncommitted? I wasn't born in Palestine. I never been over there. I don't know nobody from over there that I know of anyway. I may have met a whole lot of people, but they never announced themselves, hey, I'm from Palestine. So would I be wrong if I urged people to vote uncommitted for Joe Biden because Joe Biden has done nothing for the state of Michigan with respect to the underprivileged, the impoverished, the African descendant neighborhoods. The only thing Joe Biden has done for us that I know personally is sign. He was the architect behind the 1994 crime bill that still got brothers and sisters in Michigan locked up after 30 and 40 years. I served 28 of those years. That's the one thing that I know he did for people that look like me. That's the one thing that I know Joe Biden did for people that look like me. Other than that, I can't pinpoint anything that Joe Biden did for communities that I came from. I can't pinpoint anything. And I'm not saying he didn't do it. But from the stuff that I know, and I'm kind of in the know with a lot of people in Michigan, I can't pinpoint anything that Joe Biden signed that helped out people from my community, other than the stuff that's been going on and each president signed the same paperwork. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about something he authored, like how he authored the 1994 crime bill that's seen to it that, you know, young black guys are super predators and treated us as such and got us locked up as such and got us extended sentences as such, threw us away as such. I can vouch and say that Biden did that. I remember. I was there when that bill came down and I went to the prison library and I seen that bill with Joe Biden's name on it as the architect, the dictator. Seen the news media when him and Hillary Clinton was talking about young black guys are super predators. So, what has Joe Biden done for minority communities? He has offered no federal funding to open up any schools or to better our school systems. He has offered no federal funding to help build or renovate community centers. He has offered no federal funding to help build community placement for those people who are addicted to drugs and alcohols and other addictions, to help them fight their addiction as opposed to live in their addiction and possibly die from that addiction. He hasn't done that. He hasn't offered federal funding to help steer children away from the pipeline to prison, that school to prison pipeline. He hasn't offered assistance, federal funding to help clean neighborhoods up that has been ridden with violence, that look like bombs have been dropped in those neighborhoods, the same neighborhoods where little children got to walk to school, sometimes by themselves or with a little group of children, and they got to walk past all these abandoned houses, abandoned buildings, which, by the way, over the last couple years in Detroit alone, many bodies have been found in these abandoned buildings, were stumbled up upon though, because, and it's city officials too, so don't think I'm just talking about Biden, because it started in a city, because that's where it happened at, in a city. But I'm talking about what Biden has not done for people that look like me or people from the communities that I'm from. I have not seen that. I have not seen Biden even come and talk to people from my community. And I'm going to throw this one out there, and y'all can fact check me on this. You can fact check me on this. Joe Biden has not come to an inner city like Detroit, Boston, and the inner city, and came to any place and talked to people, the little people, the little people like us. Somebody said, what Republicans? Well, I can tell you that I don't agree with this. Let me just say this. I don't agree with this, but this is just a fun fact, and you can fact check me on it. Donald Trump came right in Detroit, in the hood in Detroit, and spoke at a church. In the hood in Detroit, and spoke at a church. Not at some big place that's secure, but came right in the hood and spoke in Detroit. But again, we talking about the mind of two different snakes. We talking about the snake that know it's poisonous and the snake that just know he a snake. It's a difference. But a snake is a snake is a snake that's gonna always be a snake. Kamala Harris came straight to the hood in Detroit. Came straight to the hood. I was right there. I have pictures. Came straight to the hood in Detroit. She had her Secret Service and all of that, but she was right there in the hood, walking around, talking to the people at this place, right on a busy street in Detroit, where a lot of stuff happened at. Joe Biden hasn't done that. Joe Biden hasn't done that. And I'm not mad at him for not doing it because he has his own reasons. I'm just showing you the difference between a person like Joe Biden, who doesn't have a track record of doing anything good for people that look like me, and a person like Kamala Harris, whom I don't forget who was a prosecutor, locked a lot of people up. I don't forget that. Can't forget that. But who came right down to the hood. And that's not to say that because she was a prosecutor and locked people up, she was wrong, because it's certain people do certain things and they have to pay. That's the bottom line. And so I don't know her track record in that respect. I just brought that up to say that I never forget that she was a prosecutor. So she did certain things that certain people would be appalled by. She locked my cousin up. She did this. She did that. You're going to always hear that from about a prosecutor. But my point is that she came to the hood and talked to the people in the hood because she understood that I need these people, not just the vote for me being, or me and Biden for office, but I need these people to remember that I am from them. I can relate. I'm there with you. I'm not bigger than you. I just went a certain route and achieved a certain success. Joe Biden never did that. Somebody tell me, and I'm getting people from all over. Somebody tell me of a time that you've seen Joe Biden come to your impoverished neighborhood, anywhere in your impoverished neighborhood as president, or as while he was running for president, and spoke to anyone in your, I ain't talking about the stops at the restaurants that every single president makes for photo op. I'm talking about came to your neighborhood, that broken down neighborhood, and came and talked to those people in that neighborhood, came and talked to those people as if he was right there with them. You tell me of a time that Joe Biden did that while he was running for president or as president. I'm going to sit and wait. He said, Tanya say, have Trump ever came? Trump definitely came. Trump came right down to a church right in the neighborhood. Right in the neighborhood. and kicked it with the people right there in the name. And he wasn't in a rush to leave either. I give him props for that, even though I don't like him. But I give him props for that, though, because he came. See, I live in a culture to where we like people to be accessible. I like to be able to know and feel that if a tear drop from my eye, you close enough to catch it. Joe Biden ain't close enough to catch a tear. And that's not to say that any other ones are either, but I'm talking about Joe Biden right now. So when I think of Rashida Tlaib, I think of this fight that she's in to preserve the life of the people. Because she has already said it's not even about her. It's about the fact that she cannot sit back and watch this mass atrocity take place on her watch and she not do anything. She can't sit back and watch this take place and not do anything. And I support that. So Rashida Tlaib, her Instagram page is called, in this respect, for this campaign, is called Listen to Michigan. Go on Instagram, look up Listen to Michigan. That's her Instagram page for this campaign, where she urged voters to vote uncommitted. He said, well, she is an American now. All she has to do is go home. Wow. Yeah. Maybe we should learn some of our history and we'll realize that we're not home either. Maybe if some of us who make these abhorrent statements about other people, they are racist innuendos, maybe we should study up some of our own history, and you might find out that you're not home either. But the whole point in this right here is to say that Rashida Tlaib is standing up for what's right. She's standing up for what's right. She's asking the people to vote uncommitted on February 27th to send a message to Joe Biden that we do not support and we abhorrently reject your position of funding the war in Israel, funding the Israel war in Gaza that has caused the mass demise of Palestinian children, men, and women. What other stance was she supposed to take if she's literally from that place? What other stance was she supposed to take? It kind of reminds me of how during that era, there's something in each era that people remember. Like you got the Me Too era, right? You got the Black Lives Matter era, right? You got the anti-Semitic era, right? Anything you say about something that had to do with the Jewish people was considered anti-Semitic, and therefore you getting banned, you getting blocked, you getting reported, deported, possibly, sanctioned, censored. And this is that era to where you cannot stand with Rashida Tlaib and fight for what's right. If you don't believe me, ask New York Congressman Jamal Bowman. They labeled him embattled right now. Embattled New York Congressman Jamal Bowman, a person who has fought for the human rights of all people from the time that his name ever rung in anyone's ears. He has been fighting for the rights of all people. He is an indiscriminate fighter. Wherever there's injustice at, and he know about it, he's going to be there and he's going to fight by your side. But now that he's come to Rashida Tlaib's assistance and he agreed with Rashida Tlaib, now they have labeled him an embattled congressman. And the powers that be have put somebody up against him for his election. Try to take his seat now. There is no freedom of speech. The only thing you're free to say is what the powers that be allows you to say before you be sanctioned and censored, blocked, abandoned, blackballed, and cast out. Excuse me, I could say one word right now that's not disrespectful, and TikTok will cut me off right now. I did it a few weeks ago. I just got out of TikTok jail, and I didn't say anything bad, but it was, according to TikTok, it was something bad. So we don't have the freedom of speech. If we had the freedom of speech, Rashida Tlaib can say wholeheartedly that she supports her people and that she urges and demands a ceasefire for the preservation of her people, the generations of her people who will otherwise meet their demise by the bullets and bombs with the fingerprints of Joe Biden on them. So we do not have the freedom of speech. We only get to say, you can say what you feel, but you better articulate it right. It better be articulated right, because one misplaced word can change the whole sentencing structure up. And that one misplaced word is what some people bank on, to say that you're making anti-Semitic comments, to say that you're supporting anti-government issues, you're supporting, you're pro-Palestinian. Why can't I be pro-Palestinian? You got people that's pro-Israel. Somebody help me out with that one. Somebody help me out with that one. I want to wait. Why is it a problem when people are pro-Palestinian, but it's not a problem when people are pro-Israel? Somebody said, do I think the Republicans will treat Muslims better? By the way, I'm a Muslim. Just like I said, no one could tell me why there's a problem with me being pro-Palestinian. See, I'm not talking about me per se. I'm pro-people. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-humanity. I'm pro-humanity. I'm pro-people. I'm pro-life. But why is it a problem? Why are people being censored because they're claiming to be pro-Palestinian? Why are people being blackballed, cast out, blocked, challenged? Because they state that they're pro-Palestinian. When I hear people say that they're pro-Palestinian, this is what I hear. And I'm around a lot of Middle Eastern people every single day. This is what I hear them saying. with respects to what's going on today. When they say I'm pro-Palestinian, they're not saying that I'm anti-Israel. They're just saying I'm pro-Palestinian. I'm with and for the people who are losing their lives so tragically on a massive scale. For me to be, if I was to describe myself as being black and I say I'm pro-black, that don't mean that I am anti-white. That just means that I love who I am. I love who I am so much that I represent myself in all walks of life. And anybody that reps the pro-blackness, I cling, I attach, I feel, I relate to them. So why is it a problem when people say they are pro-Palestinian? I don't get it. What you want Rashida Tlaib to say I'm anti-Palestinian? That's not going to happen. Let's live in reality. Let's live in reality. To be pro-Palestinian doesn't mean to be anti-Israelite. It doesn't mean that. People are expressing their frustrations, their angers, their emotions about the lives that's being taken in Palestine. Somebody say to be prop or pro. Palestinian means to be pro-ignorance. That was an ignorant statement to make right there. So I know you can't be pro anything. I have no problem with people saying that I am pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel. I have no problem because you have the freedom of speech. And February 27th, you will not get to vote again, period. I have no problem with that if the reason you are claiming you are pro is to acknowledge your heritage, your culture, your background, to express your love for who you are. See, here's a perfect example. I'm pro my family, the Knuckles family. I'm pro Knuckles family. But I'm not with the garbage. So when a Knuckles family member get into some stuff, I'm going to try to mediate it. I'm being impartial. Although I'm pro because this is my family. I have to stand with my family, so I'm going to always be pro. But I'm not going to stand by and watch my family destroy other families for no reason. I'm not going to stand by and watch my family be destroyed by another family without standing up and trying to come in between, without trying to mediate, without trying to bring about some type of ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire. That's what Rashida Tlaib is asking for, a permanent ceasefire. Not a ceasefire, a 24-hour ceasefire, not a 72-hour ceasefire or a 7-day ceasefire. She's asking that they allow the Palestinian people to thrive and live. That's what she's asking. And we ask that all the time in my community when we talk about what the police do to us. We speak about this all the time when we talk about what the public schools don't give to us. We say we want our children to thrive. We don't want a good teacher. We don't want a good teacher. We want a good school. because that one good teacher in a whole school is going to get swallowed up by the whole school if the school is bad. We want good school systems. We want good housing blocks, good communities. We want good people, yes. But if you put a bad apple around all great apples, your apple is not going to do anything but conform. So we want better for us as a people. We want better for us as a community, as humanity. Somebody said when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I agree with you 110%. We have to stand on principles. We have been duped so many times. We have been hoodwinked and bamboozled so many times. We have been lied to so many times. We have been psychologically manipulated so many times. We have been indoctrinated with false narratives so many times. We have been made false promises so many times. And I think that what Rashida Tlaib is doing right now is going to have a trickle-down effect on how we go about our everyday lives and fighting for the rights of people. So people can sit up and act like they don't understand, but if you living, breathing, and believing, then you understand what's going on today. If you can remember, if you ever heard of the African slave trade, if you ever read anything about the African slave trade, if you've ever read anything about the Africans being kidnapped from their homes and lands and communities, if you know, have heard anything about anything like that, then you know about this. You know a little something about this. You have a little understanding about this. Understanding is the rock on which we build ourselves. The gifts of the understanding are the treasures. It's a treasure. The gift, understanding is a gift. And we must understand what Rashida Tlaib and people like her are standing for, fighting against. The gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, God. Whatever you call it, that it's a gift. When you begin to understand what's really going on, you begin to stand different. You begin to walk different. You begin to talk different. You begin to look different. All because you feel different. You know different now. But some of us are all right with not knowing the truth. Some of us don't want to know the truth. Some of us can't accept the truth. Some of us have lived in a lie for so long that we have embraced that lie and wore that lie around us so much that we don't even want the truth around us anymore. Some of us are willing to allow others. Yes, Rashida Tlaib said, vote uncommitted. And I'm about to reiterate some of the stuff I said earlier in 1 second. Some of us, we allow these people to tell us lies so much that we begin to believe them ourselves. And we know it's a lie. I mean, we know it's a lie. They are indoctrinated. That's my word. We will allow somebody to tell us that the sky is red as long as they are in a position of power. We will begin to question ourselves. Knowing all our lives, we've been taught that the sky is a shade of blue and grays and all that type of stuff. But if they are in a position of power, and if they hammer it in and create the narrative so much, we will begin to question ourselves and say, well, maybe we was wrong, and blue is really red and red is really blue. That's called indoctrination. Cultist type stuff. But we allow ourselves to be taken down those roads, because I've always learned that men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow and not to lead. So we always need a pattern for our lives. But so many people just love to follow and not to lead. They don't want to take a leadership role. They just want to be a follower, and that's it. And it's a role for those people. But I don't want to always be a follower. Real followers become leaders, and they know that. Men need a pattern for their life. They love to follow and not to lead. But that man who stands upon the corners of the path and he points the way but does not go, it's just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. So you got these people who telling people to go this way and that way, pointing the way, but he ain't never went. A block of wood can do that. But the leader leaves his footprints clearly cut. So all of his people can see and be assured that their leader, went that way, because he actually went that way. So when we see someone standing up and fighting for the rights of people, he said, I hope this isn't another brother on the payroll to influence blacks to vote red. Well, brother, I'm not on anyone's payroll to do anything like that. You see my name, just look up my Facebook page, my social media. You'll see what I talk about. So, and you'll see where I've been at. And I'm asking that everybody share out my live stream right now. Share out my live stream. You know, it's going down, it's going up, and it's staying up, staying stuck. Listen, share it out. Get involved with the conversation. And if you have a comment. I shout you out right here. Yolanda Penn, good morning. You must be from out west, because it's afternoon over here. It's 12:40. I'm in Michigan. The only people on payroll are Democrats. Sunshine Dial, 555. Only people on payroll are Democrats, huh? Tlaib needs some bacon. Wow. I understand she needs some bacon, huh? So you want to get a Muslim bacon, huh? Okay. That's a racist comment. Yeah, that's like saying black people need chicken. So, you know, and we take offense to certain stuff, but then we issue out that same buffoonery. We need to be more respectful of others people's choice, other people's religion, others people's culture, because it wasn't not too long ago that we was kidnapped and our culture was taken, our religion was taken, our names and nationality was taken. Still to this very day, over 400 years later, we still talking about reparations. And I agree with it 110%. I'm just making a point. We talk about reparations because we understand the wrong did to us. We lost several millions of people in the transatlantic slave trade. You know, but even this government don't even use that G word with that, the G word that ends in sides. They don't even use that word when it comes to people that look like us, who lost over 3 million people during the transatlantic slave trade. So that should tell you the type of powers to be that we're up against. So we should be able to sympathize with people like Rashida Tlaib when she come out and she try to stand up for the people that look like her whom she grew up with, where her roots are, and she fighting to say, no, we need a permanent ceasefire. We need to let our children live, let our children dream, let our children have aspirations, prosper. Let our children see the future. That's what she's saying to the people. And if the bombs that Joe Biden, the bombs and bullets that he's funding to end the lives of Palestinian people, if he want to stand behind that, Rashida Tlaib is urging Michigan voters to vote not committed or vote uncommitted on February 27th to send a message to Joe Biden. Because I'm going to reiterate, Joe Biden won Michigan by 150,000 votes. 150,000 votes he won Michigan. And that wasn't really because people liked him in Michigan. It's just that people didn't like Trump. So they picked the lesser of two evils, which was Joe Biden. He won by 150,000 votes. Matter of fact, I'm asking that somebody share out my feed before I run down these numbers. So now we can get into it. Share out my feed, my live feed, before I get into these numbers. Somebody show me that they shared out my live feed right quick, y'all. Share out my live feed. It's about to go down. I'm about to reiterate some numbers. I'm about to go over some thoughts and things, and I'm about to ask people to interact and all type of stuff. I'm about to read a few comments out. All right, there we go. So listen, y'all. So Joe Biden, he won Michigan by 150,000 votes last election. 150,000 votes. He beat Donald Trump by 150,000 votes, right? Now, that was the last time. And that wasn't because the Michigan voters liked Biden. It was because the Michigan voters didn't like Trump more than they didn't like Joe Biden. So it was the lesser of two evils. So Joe Biden won that election by 150,000 votes. I want y'all to get your calculators out. I'm writing down some stuff too. So he had won by 150,000 votes. Now, this go round, he's not disliked. He's hated. He's hated by who? Any and everyone in Michigan who does not agree with him funding the war in Gaza and the following mass demise of the Palestinian people. So now, check these numbers out. He won by 150,000 votes the last go round. Wayne County, Michigan has the largest population of Arab Americans throughout the United States. Wayne County, Michigan has over 300,000 Arab Americans. Over 300,000. Listen to what I'm saying. Over 300,000 Arab Americans live in Wayne County, Michigan. That's not counting other counties in Michigan. It's 83 counties in Michigan. But in Wayne County, there are over 300,000 Arab Americans. And I think it's safe to say that majority of them don't stand with Trump, don't stand with Trump either, but don't stand with Biden right now. Cornel West. All right. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. Give me 1 second, Ryan. So now you have over 300,000 Arab Americans that live in Wayne County who are, listen, sharpening their teeth right now because they don't like what Biden doing. That's over 300,000. Now, that's just in Wayne County. Wayne County has the largest Arab population in any county throughout the entire United States. Wayne County, Michigan. So that's 300,000, over 300,000 Arab Americans in Wayne County. Now you have Macomb County. Macomb County is full of Arab Americans too. Very full. You have Oakland County. And then you have a lot of other outskirt counties. I can't even name, but it's so many. It's 83 counties in Michigan. So now, and that's just the Arab Americans. What about the other people from other nationalities that agree with Rashida Tlaib? Like the minority community. What about the Asian community? What about just the Middle Eastern community altogether? Mm, 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 mm. Biden got problems in Michigan. Biden got problems in Michigan. I don't think it's a chance in hell that he gonna win Michigan this time. He got problems because the people that look like me haven't forgot that he the one signed the 1994 crime bill, and him and Hillary Clinton was on the news and in newspapers calling young black men super predators. He was the architect behind the 1994 crime bill that locked so many people up that look like me who end up doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in prison. I did 28. So we haven't forgotten about that. Again, he only won by 150,000 votes then because people, not because people liked them, but because they hated Trump more, or they disliked Trump more. Now they hate Biden. So I don't think there's a chance in hell that Biden is going to win Michigan at all. Now, with that fact being said, let me say this here. 62 cents off every dollar. 62 cents. 62 cents. Look up my bio on my social media. I'll tell you why I did 28 years on all my social media pages. 62 cents off every American dollar is used to help fund wars, whether it's the beginning, the middle, or the end, or like in the case of Ukraine, helping those people. 62 cents off every American dollar. So now when you ask where your taxes go, why your taxes so high, now you know. These are, fact check me. Fact check me. I had to go look this stuff up myself because Dr. Cornel West, who I was with just last month, he was putting me up on all of this stuff. I had to fact check him. And I was like, wow, I knew a large percentage went to fund war, the aftermath and the beginning and the planning and all this stuff, but I didn't understand it to be 62% until I was sitting with Dr. Cornel West last month. That's also on my TikTok page. I put a couple of videos of me and Dr. Cornel West, some pictures and stuff. And so you ask where your tax dollars are going. They got taxes so high. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build schools. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build community centers. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build communities. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build mental health facilities. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build drug and alcohol treatment programs. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build the streets in your community. Your tax dollars ain't going to help strengthen community ties with the police. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build the churches. Your tax dollars ain't going to help build anything for the betterment of a community. Your tax dollars is going to build prisons, make laws to put people in prison, and to fund wars. That's what your tax dollars going to. Fact check me. I'm asking anybody, fact check me. Fact check me. 62 cents of every dollar. 62% of every dollar is being used to fund the planning, the actual, or the ending of the war. Fact check me. So now you can have an understanding of why tax is so high. And we already know people stuff in their pockets. They got bank accounts everywhere. The truth hurt. I know the truth hurt. Because I've been one of them guys on the other end of listening to that truth, and it hurts so bad. When you realize that you've been duped, hoodwinked, and bamboozled, and you've been this so many years old, and you claim to be very intelligent. Not to say that you're not intelligent, but I'm saying, but you have claimed to be so intelligent, and you find out that this been going on with you all this time, you be feeling like, how the hell did that happen to me? I always told myself that I would never fall for that trick again. And you fell for it for 30 years. Believe me, I fell for that trick for about 25 years of my life. 25. By the time I turned 25, I think I had almost 10 years in prison. I had 8 years in prison. By the time I turned 25. And it was then that a lot of brothers used to pull me aside, and we used to just look up this stuff and look at the news and read the newspapers and study this stuff. And I used to just shake my head like, how in the hell did they do all of this right up under 15 years? All right. Michigan has turned into Syria. I'm trying to figure out, what does that mean? But it took me all these years to really realize that I was being indoctrinated. I had to admit that I was being indoctrinated, because I knew that things didn't start turning around until I admitted that I was being indoctrinated. Now the unindoctrination process can begin. But I couldn't unindoctrinate myself until I acknowledged that I was being indoctrinated. It says Dearborn City Council are mostly Syrian. Well, if Dearborn is made up of Syrian people, who else do it supposed to be? Come on. Come on. Someone said that the city council in Dearborn is made up of Syrians. But if that's who make up that community, and you can't be city council if you don't live in that county, then who else supposed to be on a city council? Come on. Wayne County, Detroit City Council is made up of people that look like me. People can't complain, you know why? Because all them people that look like me live in Detroit. That's what it's made up of. If you go out to Grosse Pointe, you're going to see a mixture. If you go out to Inkster, you're going to see something different. If you go out to Dearborn Heights, you're going to see something different. If you go elsewhere, you're going to see something different. It doesn't change the truth. See, the truth don't change or pass away. It's just your interpretation or your acceptance of it that changes. But the truth don't change or pass away. It's kind of like saying this here. I'm light-skinned. I'm going to be light-skinned from the time I was born to the time of my demise. That's not going to change. Now, your perception of it can change. You could say, well, you're not really light-skinned. You're really kind of brown-skinned, just a light brown skin. That's your perception. That can change at will, right? Because within our conditions of life, we learn different things. And so now, when I was over in Ghana last year, and I talked to certain people, and their perception of my skin tone is white. Some people's perception was white, but some people who had a world view because they have watched the TVs and news and they're up on their own intelligence and they have been schooled certain ways and around certain people, they understand that you don't refer to this, my skin tone is white. You refer to it as being light skin. Some people would say light brown skin. But that's still their perception. So the truth don't change. Only your perception and acceptance of it is what changed. You may not want to accept it today, but that don't mean it changed. And the truth of the matter right now is that Joe Biden's fingerprints are on the bombs and bullets that are tearing apart the Palestinian landscape. That's the truth. And every president fingerprints are on something, right? George Bush fingerprints was on Afghanistan, right? His fingerprints is all on that, right? All that Middle Eastern war stuff. When Bush would say about the weapons of mass destruction, and his fingerprints was all on them bombs that was dropping over there, them bullets that was hitting. Come to find out wasn't no weapons of mass destruction. His fingerprints is on that, right? Obama fingerprints is on something that took place. I can't even remember the specific, but he had part in some stuff. It's his fingerprint, right? That's not me saying that they are a bad person or a good person because of what they fingerprints are on. I'm just saying that during their tenure in office, something took place and it was on their watch, and therefore their fingerprints are on the bombs and bullets that terrorized the bodies and the land of those people. And today, in this day and age, with what's going on today in Gaza, President Biden's fingerprints on the bombs and bullets that are destroying the lives of those people. That's the truth. The truth don't change or pass away. Only your perception and your acceptance of it is what changes. But the truth will not change or pass away. If you don't believe me, challenge me. Tell me something. Say, ain't no difference under Trump. You making my point. You are making my point. I never said that Trump is better than Biden. I have said that, and I ask anybody, I challenge anybody to show me, tell me of a time when you've seen Joe Biden come into a impoverished neighborhood and talk to people that look like me when he was running for president or as president. Tell me of a time. And we talking about from California all the way to Washington. Tell me of a time when you seen him on the newspaper where he was deep in the hood talking to those people in the hood, seeing where he was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet away from homeless people and talking to the people. And tell me of a time, because I can't remember one. But as I said, fun fact, and I don't even like this guy, but I'm just saying, fun fact, Trump came to Detroit and was right there in the heart of the hood. Right there at the church, right in the hood, where a lot of stuff happened at, but he came. I'm not saying he's better than Trump, Biden, or Biden is better than him. I'm just saying their stance is different. He stand different. Kamala Harris came right to Detroit, right in the hood, where everything happened at. Literally, right on Livernois, on the strip, where everything, many things happen at. All the boys, all of, them dope boys, all them boys riding up and down there. So again, I'm not saying who's better. What I am saying is that I'm tired of having to choose the lesser of two evils. We're given the choice of a snake that know he's venomous and poisonous, and a snake who's poisonous but doesn't really know how to control his poison. But the fact remains is the truth don't change or pass away. A snake is still a snake. Whether you know how to use the poison or not, you're a snake. And I'm tired of having to pick the lesser of two evils. I'm tired of having to pick the lesser of two evils. And people who are from Trump land, If you agree with everything Trump say, then you brainwashed. A wise man once told me, he said, any two people who agree with each other on every topic, one of them are kissing butt. He said, because we're made too different to agree on everything. We're made too different to agree on everything. So I didn't say that I'm not condemning Trumpsters. No, I'm not saying that. So please, no one take me wrong. I'm saying if any Trumpster believes everything that Trump say is correct, then you live in a lie. You've been indoctrinated, bamboozled, and hoodwinked all at the same time. Now, if any Biden supporter agrees with everything that Biden has said, then you'd have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and indoctrinated all at the same time. It's virtually impossible as a human being, as a man of any type of intelligence, even the microcosm of intelligence. It is virtually impossible for any of us to say that I agree with everything that such and such says. You can agree with everything that I'm saying right now over this last hour or something that I've been talking, but in the next hour you say, no, I don't agree with that. Because that's human nature. That's owning your own agency. That's being your own person. Right? So, if anybody disagrees with what Rashida Tlaib is doing, I think that you need to check yourself. I didn't say that you have to come out and support Rashida Tlaib. I didn't say that. I said, if anybody disagrees with what Rashida Tlaib is doing, you need to check yourself. And now, first of all, let me say that you have to understand what she is doing. And because understanding is the rock on which we build ourselves. The gift of the understanding is a treasure. So we must understand what she's doing before we can make a judgment call. I just left Ghana. It said you have to pick a side, right? No, you don't have to pick a side. And that's kind of my point. We've been indoctrinated to believe that we have to pick a side. I don't have to pick a side. If I don't like some, I don't like some. If I don't like some over here, I don't like some over here. We don't have to pick a side. We should have never had to pick a side. But yet in our ignorance, we were indoctrinated and manipulated to believe that you have to be this way or that way. And I understand. I truly understand that. But as a man standing before you today, I think I'm learned enough to know now that I don't have to pick nobody, because I dictate my own agency. I'm taking back control of who I am. I'm standing on who I am. And so I don't have to pick nobody. I can sit up and not vote and feel good about it, because that's my choice. We have to stop thinking that we don't have a choice. And I just want to give you a very short story of what happens when people think that you don't have a choice. When I was growing up, my mother and father and aunts and uncles, they was drug dealers turned drug addicts. And by the time I really got, 7, 8, 9, 10, they was really strung out on drugs. And they was also, committing crime. So I didn't think I had a choice. Only choices I thought was to be a drug dealer or drug addict. That's it. I didn't know that I had other choices. Drug addict or drug dealer. And I refused to be a drug addict because I like the gym shoes that the drug dealers used to wear. I like the jewelry. I like the clothes. So I knew that I didn't want to be a drug addict. So I became a drug dealer, thinking that that's the only other choice that I had. Until I did that 28 years in prison. And about, I think it was about my 7th or 8th year in prison, I think, that I grew up. And after many talks with all the old head guys that was teaching me stuff, I realized that I had a choice. I didn't have to choose to be the drug dealer or the drug addict. All I had to do is make a choice of what I wanted to do, not what I seen others do. And that's where we're at today. That's where we're at today. We're told that we either got to be a Democrat or a Republican. And now, guess what happens? They pay for people to indoctrinate us on the news, knocking on our doors, phone calls, text messages. They are paying people to indoctrinate us, flood us with information. So now, this sounds more convincing, so I'm going to become a Republican. This sounds more convincing, so I'm going to become a Democrat. They are destroying, and we are allowing them to destroy our agency. Divide and conquer. We are allowing them to destroy our agency. Back in the days, they used to use the term, they don't even really use it no more now, the governmental system. Do anybody remember when they used to use that term, governmental system? So, the governmental system, think about it. Govern your mental system. Indoctrination, manipulation, coercion. That's what's going on today, except they don't use that word anymore because it's too flamboyant. It's too obvious to say you are a part of the governmental system. It's too blatant. It's too bold. So now they hide that word behind, and they use all of the rhetoric that word was structured on: indoctrination, manipulation, narrative, dehumanizing. Because you first have to destroy a person's humanity to make them believe that they don't have to care about humanity. Because anyone who understands their own humanity respects other people's humanity. But when you can get someone to hate themselves so much that they don't even stand up for themselves, you know they're not going to stand up for nobody else. And that's what the governmental system does. It strips you of your humanity. It strips you of who you are. It strips you of your natural love for yourself and for your people. It strips you of your culture. It strips you of your identity, your nationality, your spirituality. That's what the governmental system does. Malcolm X. Okay. That's what the governmental system does. Now, what do you mean by that? Malcolm X talked about men like me. Let me see what you're talking about, my brother. That's my favorite, one of my favorite speakers of all time. My favorite book, Autobiography of Malcolm X. It said American born. I was born in MAGA land, aka Ohio. I'm too rich and educated for them folks. All right, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, I bet you probably can't tell me nothing about Malcolm X. I've been studying this stuff for almost 40 years now, just so you know, and I'm very respected in that arena, very well respected. And so anyway, so the American government system, it wants to strip us of all. You can just take AI for example. They have found a way. They have found a way that if you don't want to, if they can't find nobody else to say it, they'll duplicate your whole voice. And you will be saying the very stuff, and you'll be like, I ain't say that. Because they want to control our intelligence. But it's one thing that I always say, that they could take everything away from you, but they can't take away your memories. In your memories lie your intelligence, because you remember who you once were, where you came from, and where you're going. That's the one thing they can't take away from. It's a Lord Dyson, we all are not the same, and wouldn't be if we were all white. Wake up. Okay. All right. Okay. No matter who's president, they keep backing them. I mean, it's so much money involved. I just told y'all 62 cents of every dollar is being, 62 cents of every one of our tax dollars is being used to fund the beginning, the middle, or the end of a war. 62 cents of our tax dollars. So that means that it's only 38% left over. I urge people to do fact checking, because I throw out numbers sometimes. And I throw out numbers because I had to do some fact checking when it was brought to my attention. I don't just believe anything that I hear, anybody that I see. I don't just do that. Child of Light say it's illegal to pay taxes and fund war. I don't know who told you that, ma'am, because they do it all the time. They've been doing it for years. So what do you think your taxes is? Why do you think taxes are so high? What do you think they're doing with it? Just everybody just pocketing all the money? We know they're pocketing a whole lot of money, but 62%. All you have to do is fact check me. Fact check me. What did it say? AKA True Love 96. Fact check me. Prove me wrong. 62% of every American dollar is being used to fund some part of the war, whether it's the aftermath of the war, which is taking care of like Ukrainian people, or it's the actual war, buying the guns, whatever the situation is, sending the troops over, the tanks and all that. Come on, fact check. I'm gonna tell you what made me fact check that number right there. I was with Dr. Cornel West last month, and so I was with Dr. Cornel West, and we was just sitting down talking and stuff, and he was telling me these numbers, and I said, man, where can I get them numbers at? That's a large number, 62%. He like, yeah, 62%. They not gonna tell you that though. They ain't supposed to tell you that. They supposed to reach their hand in your pocket and keep their hand in your pocket and keep, because as long as they got their hand in your pocket, you ain't gonna realize when they take it out because it's always in. They always taking your money. So they can fund that war. So by the time you get your money, you only getting 38 cents on the dollar because the other 62% they took to fund the war. And I started looking up those numbers. Somebody say, hell no. And they ask, what is my agenda? My agenda, you see what's behind me? Rashida Tlaib, tell Biden, no more genocide, vote uncommitted now until February 27th. So when people come on here and they say, well, he got a hidden agenda and this, or that, well, it's right behind me. It's nothing hidden. See, the truth don't need no support. The truth don't change nor pass away. Only your perception or your acceptance of the truth is what change. But the truth is and gonna always be what it is. That's that right there. This is what this is about. So I don't like Biden. I voted for Biden. Let me first say that. I voted for Biden last time. I voted for Biden. I served 28 years in prison. I was just happy to be out of prison. First time ever voting. And I knew a little bit about both sides, Biden and Trump. And I voted for the lesser of two evils. That's the truth of the matter. Truth don't change or pass away. I voted for the lesser of two evils. Now, let me tell you this story. I know you heard the story about the snake that was found along the side of the road. I ain't gonna tell you that story. I'm gonna tell you the two snakes that was found alongside of the road. Yes, uncommitted. So there was these two snakes, one on this side of the road, one on this side, the right side of the road. So it was two people driving down the road. They seen the snake on the right side, and he picked up the snake on the right side and had red scales on it. The guy on the other side, the left side, had the blue scales on. He picked up that snake. They took the snakes home, right? So they nursed the snakes back into condition because the snakes had been dehydrated and hadn't eaten anything. So they nursed them back into condition, and they lived with the snakes, right? And so the one man, he went to the vet doctor. He said, man, every night I wake up, my snake is laying beside me in the bed. The vet doctor like, yeah. He said, yeah. So the other man went to his vet and said, man, every time I wake up, my snake is laying beside me in the bed. The vet said, yeah. So the guy with the red snake said, but my snake is always so cozy with me. He's right there with me in the bed. The doctor said, because that snake is sizing you up to eat you. That's why he's getting so cozy with you. So the guy with the other snake, doctor told him, he said, anytime a snake lays beside you and cozies up with you, like you describe your snake to be doing, it's because you will be his next meal. I don't know if that went over nobody's head, but I hope it didn't. The red and the blue snake. They seeking whom they may devour. We put them in positions of power to devour us. To devour us. See, our problem is that we put them in positions of power when we know that they are a snake. It reminds me of the story of I think it was a Mexican lady. She was pro-Trump all the way. Pro-Trump. And he was talking about building that wall and all that, but she lived over here. Pro-Trump. And when he became president, he deported her husband. He said he was going to do it. She's nursed him the whole time. And he was laying beside her the whole time, every time she woke up. The doctor told her that he was sizing her up to eat her. She still let the snake lay beside her. She say, I'm pro-Trump. I'm pro. I'm pro. Even after he just said all this stuff about you. I'm pro. I'm pro. And deported her husband. So, with respects to Biden, our people, the people who look like me, the people of minority descent, the people who are broken with no money, who might have may be Caucasian or European or whatever, who have no money like where I come from. We let that snake cozy up against us and lay beside us. And the doctor told us that the snake was sizing us up the whole time. Sizing us up to devour us. And guess what that snake did? 1994, that snake was the architect behind the 1994 crime bill that seen to it that minorities were deemed super predators and locked up and given more time than any other race of people. Because we let that snake lay beside us and cozy up with us, size us up the whole time. We supported it. So now we got to remember. And then somebody earlier in the chat said this here. They said Trump supported, what was it? Prison reform. Trump supported prison reform. Now, I do agree with what you're saying there, right? So don't take it that I'm challenging you. But I would say this about Trump's support of prison reform. 28 years to life for a felon in possession of a firearm. Okay, this is what I'm going to say about Trump and his support of prison reform. Trump only supported the people that the powers that be wanted him to talk about, because he was laying the foundation for when his people get locked up and indicted, he can pardon them. So he was laying the foundation. He didn't support nothing about no real criminal justice reform, prison reform. Ask the Central Park Five. Did he support criminal justice or prison reform? Ask them. No, he was the one who was asking for their heads to be placed on a chopping block. That's what he supported. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he said that young black men are super predators. He was the architect behind the 1994 crime bill that seen the influx of people becoming incarcerated, which is now known under the term mass incarceration. That's on Joe Biden's watch. That's on Hillary Clinton's watch, when they labeled young black men super predators. So let's get the facts straight, and I want y'all to fact check me. Okay, AKA True Love 96 say not true. Prove it's not true. I am living proof of it. I served 28 years in prison. I studied law for 25 of those years. Prove it. 1994, it was Joe Biden who was the architect behind the 1994 crime bill. That Hillary Clinton was on the news talking about young black men were super predators. I even have the newspaper article. Matter of fact, if you go on one of my Facebook pages, you can see the newspaper article behind me. I'm in a college speaking to students about it. And I have the newspaper article behind me, such as this is behind me. And it's right there saying super predators. So, the 1994 crime bill was the so-called Democrats, Joe Biden, way of being tough on crime, because if you remember, back then, you had the other Bush was in office before Bill Clinton, You had the other Bush who was following in the footsteps of the Reagan and the Nixons, who was tough on crime, the Republicans. So that was Joe Biden's way of saying, no, we tough on crime. So he was the architect behind the 1994 crime bill that Bill Clinton signed into law. And Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden was on the news calling young black men super predators. And that 1994 crime bill was so discriminative that it affected minorities, because that was really during the crack era, when the people from the minority neighborhoods was getting caught with the rocks and getting more time than the other people was getting for the weight. Y'all remember that? I do, because I was selling the crack and the weight. And I remember, and got a lot of friends who are still in prison today. A whole lot of them with life sentences. I had a life sentence. I had life without parole, to be exact. Yes, I had life without parole, to be exact. So when it comes to talking about the law and talking about the differences in Donald Trump and Biden, when it comes to laws that affect minority communities and quiet is kept throughout the United States, I can talk about that. I'm certified and qualified. I try to refrain from talking a lot about it because I want to learn more about people's stance on certain things. I'm from Michigan. I'm from where Rashida Tlaib is from. And this is one of the reasons why I support what Rashida Tlaib is doing. Anti-MAGA and anti-ultra-liberal says, no, you're not. All right, no problem. I ain't from there, man. But this is why I support Rashida Tlaib. It's because she's standing up for something. Some of us refuse to stand up at all. Some of us refuse to stand up at all. All we do is complain and cry about them taking our money, our taxes, and raising this and raising that, raising the price of living and all that stuff. So I'll stand up. Now I'm pissed. We all should be pissed off. I'm going to tell you why we all should be pissed off, though. Because I talked about it earlier. I asked anybody. I told everybody, I said, look, anybody that remember the World Trade Center situation, you remember that. And after the World Trade Center fell, you had George Bush, who was out there, and the news people was out there, and he was telling America that he was going to find out who did this, and he was going to punish them. He said he's going to make sure the world know who we are. And he was braggadociously saying some stuff that I supported. You know what I'm saying? I understand the position. And he said that, and he was shedding tears, right? Y'all remember? He was shedding tears. I ain't say he ain't whack. I agree he whack. I'm talking about in that moment. I'm just talking about that moment, because I'm going somewhere with this. Just follow me, big bro. Just follow me. It's that Obi-Wan Kenobi 48. Just follow what I'm saying. So he was talking about that, and he was telling the world that he gonna find out who did this, and he gonna hand it to him, hand their butt to him, right? My point is that he was tearing up because he felt so messed up with what had happened. He was hurt by what had happened. So he felt the pain of the people in that particular moment. I don't like him either, so don't get me wrong. But he felt the pain of the people in that particular moment. Now you take Obama. When I'm trying to get one of my screens is blurry. And so you take Obama. Wolf shit. So you take Obama. Obama, on several situations that he had to deal with, he was tearing up right there on camera, right? Right there on camera, he tearing up. Here it is. Tens of thousands of children have lost their lives by the bombs and bullets that Joe Biden's fingerprints were on that was sent over to Palestine. And can anybody tell me of a time that you've seen Joe Biden shed a tear or tears well up in his eyes over what's going on in Palestine? Can anybody tell me? I'm waiting. Because he never teared up. He never cried. He never even been concerned about what's going on over there. And that's why Rashida Tlaib is standing up. He don't feel that he's wrong about anything. He's not emotionally connected or invested in the people. That was the difference between even Donald Trump, Obama, Clinton, the Bushes, Reagan. They had some type of emotional connection. No matter how much you liked or did not like them, or how much you didn't like what they stood for, they had that connection, right? Whereas Joe Biden shows no emotional connection whatsoever to the people. No connection. So now, and he should be one of the people who should really be connected, because we know about Bo. Come on. Remember that dope got found in the White House recently? And they say they don't know who dope it is, but one of the people there had a son who was a dope fiend. And I'm not getting hard on dope fiends. Please don't think I am. My mother was a drug addict and all that. So believe me, I give the greatest big ups to those who going through that struggle and trying to overcome that addiction. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when them drugs was found in the White House and it came across the news that didn't nobody know whose it was. But somebody's son had already been to rehab. The point that I'm making in this, Radical River, congratulations, 22 years clean. The point that I'm making in this is that if anybody should be able to understand, the need for mental health facilities, drug treatment facilities, it should be Biden, because his own son went through it. His own son went through it. But he's so disconnected from the people. The only time that I have seen Joe Biden kind of startled was after his son passed away. That's it. It wasn't when certain people were jailed over in Russia or China. It wasn't even happy tears no time when certain people were released. No tears for Palestine. So come on, man. So when I say that we need to support people like Rashida Tlaib, I'm not just talking about Rashida Tlaib. I said people like Rashida Tlaib because they standing up for something. I stand with people who stand up for something. I cannot stand against someone who stands up for something, because I can remember a time that's still going on today when I needed somebody to stand up for me. And so many people did. I would not have gotten out of prison in 28 years had somebody not stood up. It's people who stood up when I didn't even know. And they stood up and went to Human Rights Watch, and all these people stood up for us, saying you cannot sentence a juvenile to mandatory life in prison. You can't just throw their lives away, because people age out of crime. You can give them a certain amount of years and they be changed. You'll never even know they ever committed those type of crimes or been involved in that type of crime. So it was people who fought and stood up. They fought standing on the shoulders of civil rights leaders of the 50s and 60s. They stood on their shoulders and fought that good fight. And now in our day and age, Radical River, the head of all 33 prisons, let me out only one in California. Now, in this day and age, there is a leader who's standing up. Many leaders, but I'm not talking about them right now. I'm talking about the one that's behind me. There's a leader standing up. And we have to support her leadership, because, as she says, it's not even about her. It's about the lives and the legacy of the generations of people who have already lost their lives and who are trying to live to see a future. That's what it's about. So I don't want you to mince my words. I don't want you to think that I'm saying don't vote for Biden or don't vote for Trump. I'm not asking you or telling you who to vote for or who not to vote for. What I am saying is that take back your agency and understand that you don't have to vote if you don't want to vote. You know, they try to make it, they want us to believe that it's patriotic. You have to vote. It's the American way. You have to vote. Yeah, I can vote. I voted for Biden last time, like a doggone fool. But I'm just saying that we have to take back our own agency and realize that no one can force us to do what we don't want to do. If we don't want to support the most venomous snake or the less venomous snake, we don't have to support them. All we got to do is recognize that a snake is a snake is a snake and go always be a snake and leave them alone. We have to understand that I got to see if, I don't know if you speak English, man. Because a lot of people that have come on here, I didn't understand anything they were saying, to be truthful. So I'm hesitant to let people in because I honestly didn't understand nothing they were saying. They were speaking Arabic, and if we're going to dialogue, then we have to be able to understand one another, because understanding is a rock on which man builds himself. So, but I'm just, Trump hates Palestinian. What are you thinking? Okay, I didn't say Trump hate Palestinians. I didn't say that. I think both of them hate Palestinians. Quiet as kept, you know. So that's why. But put it this way. If, and we know that Trump's father is from Ireland somewhere, right? And if, and Trump has family in Ireland, if it was the people of Ireland who was going through what the Palestinians are going through, what do you think Trump's position would be? And we know that Joe Biden is I want to make sure I'm right. Give me 1 second. And we know that Joe Biden belongs to the Jewish church, right? Right? I'm just looking it up because I want to make sure I'm right, because I know I've looked it up before, but I just like to. So now when the people, y'all know where I'm going. Trump would support the Irish people if they were in the Palestinian people situation. Joe Biden supports the people of his ethnic background. He would support them if they were in the Palestinian situation, right? And he wouldn't be wrong for supporting it. Trump's father grew up in Ireland, I believe. So my point is this here. German. So my point is this here. We can't fault, said Biden can't tie his shoes. Biden is Irish. What church do he belong to? What people do he pledge his allegiance to? Think of that. So, so now we have to start looking at things from that perspective. Where's the fairness at? We know really there's no fairness in government. We already understand that. Catholicism. And so we know there's no fairness in government. We truly understand that. And that's why the civil rights movement was born. That's why the civil rights movement said your perspective is wrong. Okay, prove me wrong then. I mean, I never said that I can always be right. I'm probably right 50% of the time, which means that I'm wrong 50% of the time, but I'm man enough to admit it because the truth don't change or pass away. But if you just coming on here with empty rhetoric, then you just you need to go somewhere else. So as I was saying, if the people from Trump's ethnic background were in the Palestinian situation, Trump would do everything in his power to represent. Because we already see what Trump do with those supremacist groups, right? Because he relate. So we see how far he's willing to go just for them. Imagine how far he would be willing to go for his people where his family grew up at and his father's heritage and all of that. Imagine the extent that he would be willing to go in. And now you take Joe Biden. We already seen when it came to his son and them classifying his son as a drug addict. He didn't want that at all. He fought against that. So imagine how far he would go to protect his family. And now they mad because Rashida Tlaib is trying to protect a nation of people, secure the freedom of a nation of people. That is so asinine to me that they would even question her integrity, her professionalism, her love for her people. Again, just because you pro-Palestinian don't mean you have to be anti-Israel. I don't refer to myself as being black, but for the sake of context and those who don't understand some of the books that I read about me, I'm going to use this. Just because I'm pro-black doesn't mean that I'm anti-white. Let me say that again. Just because I'm pro-black doesn't mean that I'm anti-white. Some people take it to the extreme, I understand. But we're talking about the common sense acknowledgement of someone being pro this or pro that. But every time someone says they're pro-Palestinian, they're being blackballed, they're being cast out, cast away, ostracized, alienated, censored, and everything else because you say you're pro-Palestinian. No, she's not trying to remove Biden in Michigan so Trump will win. She's standing up and saying that Biden, my people, and the people of Palestine are dying by the tens of thousands because you funding a war that's causing mass demise of the people. That's what she's saying. And we're not going to sit by and stand and support you. And then her personal interest is that she is Palestinian. Her family still lives there. She still have connections there. So she's standing up for the life of her people. Stop putting our noses where they don't belong. Keep our money for us. I agree. 62% of every American dollar is being used to fund some part of a war, whether it's the aftermath or the planning. 62 cents of every American dollar. Y'all can fact check me on that. Yes, I agree, but you have to look at the thing that happened. Don't matter, she's not American. I was going to say this term that I keep hearing be used, but I'm so tired of people talking about we need to do better. We already know we need to do better. We already know that. We have to stop looking at people and seeing race. We have to stop looking at people and seeing differences. We have to stop looking at people and seeing financial status. As long as we keep looking at people and all we see is race, nationality, financial status, professional status, spiritual allegiance, religious allegiance, as long as we keep doing that, we're going to keep allowing them to divide and conquer us. It's just simple as that. We've been divided and conquered at every aspect of our lives because we refuse to stand up and take back our identity, take back who we are, take back what we stand for, take back who we stand for. So when a leader rise up from the ashes of burnt down government and torn down government, when a leader is able to rise up out of that, from the ashes and decay, and stand up and say, I'm not with that. I'm not standing with that. I want change, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to bring about that change. When a leader stands up and do that, real leaders stand up with them. Because men need a pattern for their lives they love to follow and not to lead. But the man who stands upon the corners of the path and points the way but does not go is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. We tired of all these people who just standing on the corner telling us to go this way, but they ain't never went. See, the leader treads the way on every span of ground. They leave their footprints clearly cut. So all the people can see and be assured that he or she, their master, went that way. I stand with people who stand for righteousness. I follow leaders who stand for righteousness. So again, I'm about to close this out because I've been on here, I've been talking, I've been interacting. Josh Orsia, I'm just sitting here, and I want all of us, right before I leave, I'm asking that all of us, just take time out in silent prayer for the families of both sides, not just the Palestinians, but both sides, because there's sacrifices being made on both sides. There's lives being lost, lives being taken, lives being destroyed, lives being traumatized. And I just want us to just take the time out just for a minute. And I'm being honest, just for 1 minute. I want us to take the time out and just imagine how we would feel if it was our children. I mean, literally our blood children and our blood siblings under attack, wherever they are, whether it's in your neighborhood, whether it's in another city, another state, another country. What would you do if you felt that your government, your mayor, your city council, your representative wasn't doing enough or wasn't doing anything to stop the tragedies from happening? What would you do? I ask that we all say a prayer for the families and friends of all of those who lost their life and all of those who are trying to fight to live. With that, I'm going to say peace and love to those within the sound of my voice. And for those who cannot hear the sound of my voice, I say pass along the message because someone needs to be inspired.